This
I will
conference will now be recorded.
I will explain why the VPC pairing is actually required. So consider I am located in India in Chennai, and I'm just dropping up some status update in a Facebook that I guys I'm traveling to Malaysia due to some official trip. So before that, as you know very well about the Facebook application, they have been maintaining the individual setup in each countries except China and Abu Dhabi and South Korea, I guess. Apart from that, they will be maintaining the individual setup in every country. So whenever I'm adding some status update in a Facebook from India, consider it has been fed in the India setup, India server. Now I have been reached Malaysia. Once I get down from the airport, so I'm just logging to the Facebook application just to see how many likes and comments has been available on that application. I mean on the status update which has posted in from Chennai. So during that time, my request has been redirected to the Malaysia server. So whatever the data added in the India, that must be synchronized to the Malaysia. But obviously, India is a different country, Malaysia is a different country. Definitely, there will be a different network. It cannot be a same network. So, if I want to do the synchronization can be done only with the public IP address. So, as you know about the public IP, it will be used if you want to communicate with the different network devices. So, as I said earlier, India is a different country and network, Malaysia is a different country and network. I have been allowed to communicate only with the public IP address. But if I'm allowing the connection or if I'm allowing the synchronization to do with the public IP, there are two disadvantages. So the first one is security. Anyone can hack my data. So all the data transfer or data synchronization will be happening via internet. It is not secured actually. And the second disadvantage is latency, slowness. It will be very slow in respect to communicating the data. So my requirement here is now, even though I'm maintaining a multiple setup in across geolocations, I want to do the private synchronization via private IP. How that could be possible? If you want to communicate with the private IP, the only option is it must be in the same network. Only the same network devices can be communicated via private IP. The different network people can be communicated only with the public IP. But how do I create it under the same network? For example, whenever we are going to AWS, you can find multiple regions. So here you can find multiple regions. In these regions, they have the different VPC, isolated VPC. I cannot use the Virginia VPC whenever I'm creating the machines in the Cape Town. Similarly, I cannot use the Cape Town VPC whenever I'm creating machines in Mumbai. Each individual region has a different VPC. Then, how do I get or how do I build a setup across multiple regions in a single VPC? We cannot do it because it's a different country, different provider, different network. We cannot make it under the single network. So that is the reason VPC pairing connection comes into the picture. So let the India be a different region, different setup. Malaysia be the different region, different setup. No worries. So I'll be establishing a pairing connection, which is nothing but I'm just establishing or creating a bridge between the India VPC and the Malaysia VPC. If I establish the pairing connection, once it is done, I can communicate via private IP. So that is the reason why do we require the pairing connection. So as a definition, if you are maintaining a multiple setup across multiple regions of your application, it is recommended to do the pairing connection. The reason is all the application setup wants to do the synchronization. If I'm not doing the pairing connection, that can be communicated only with the public IP. But with respect to the public IP communication, there are two advantages as I said earlier. One is a security breach and another one is a latency. So that is about the pairing connection. Any questions? Okay. So now consider I'll be having one VPC in Virginia and another VPC in Malaysia. So from a Virginia VPC or in a Malaysia VPC, I can do the create pairing connection. Once I created it, it will be on the pending status. So for example, if I'm creating the VPC pairing connection from Virginia, it will be pending and I need to go to Malaysia region. Then I need to make it accept the connection. Then only it will be a success. So now it has been done. Now I need to modify some route table changes. I will be showing you while I'm doing the practical. Now consider this is a one VPC. Maybe you can consider VPC1 is a Virginia and VPC2 is in Malaysia. Now, if I'm maintaining the same CIDR, would I be able to establish a pairing connection? Now, Virginia VPC also the same CIDR and Malaysia VPC is also having a same CIDR. Would I be able to establish a pairing connection? No? No? Yes? Please respond. Okay. Guys, it will be very interactive session if you communicate or if you respond to my questions. If you're not responding, I'm not sure whether you're listening or not. I don't know anything. It is like I'm just speaking to myself alone. It is resemble like if you're not responding to my questions or if you're not asking any questions. I'm not sure whether I'm audible also. I'm just taking as it is. At least if you don't know the answer, you can say I don't know or no idea, something like that. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you in the class? Vishwanatha, are you in the class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Whatever. Okay, we cannot establish a pairing connection. I will take as it is. Okay, if you have any questions, you can ping me or you can ask them. Okay, they will respond. Okay, so there are two VPC. I cannot establish a pairing connection between these two VPC. The reason is if it is a different VPC, it can be a same CIDR. But if I'm establish a pairing connection, that means these two people will come under the same network. So it will not accept. So I need to change the CIDR from 10.0 to 10.1 or 172 series or 192 series. Then only the pairing connection will be established. So the same CIDR cannot be established for a pairing connection because there will be network conflict. Until and unless if Virginia VPC is separately and Malaysia VPC is separately, there is no problem with respect to the creating the network. But with respect to creating the pairing connection, there will be a problem because the both machine may get the same IP address. If they do so, and if they're trying to communicate, there will be IP conflict, which machine will be facing a problem for taking a remote control. So that is the reason it could never be a same area if you're about to establish a pairing connection. This is the constraint in the pairing connection. So there are four use cases for the pairing connection. So the first use case is consider one VPC is running in your account on Virginia region. Another VPC is also running in your account on the same Virginia region. You can do the pairing connection. And the next use case is consider one VPC is running in your account on Virginia region. Another VPC is also running in your account but on the Mumbai region. You can do the pairing connection. Consider one VPC is running in your Virginia account, in your AWS account on Virginia region, and another VPC is running in my AWS account on Virginia region. You can do the pairing connection. And the last use case is one VPC is running in your account on Virginia region, another VPC is running on my AWS account on Mumbai region. That it can be also be do a pairing connection. So same account, same region. You can do the pairing connection. That's the use case of the first option. And second option is same account, same AWS account, but different regions. You can do the pairing connection. Different AWS account, but same region. You can do the pairing connection. And the last one is different account, different region. You can do the pairing connection. So this is the use cases of the pairing connection. How do we need to do? So I will come back to this elastic load balancer after I'm explaining the practical of this pairing connection on the second VPC. If you have any questions, you can let me know. Okay. So I'm just navigating to create a VPC first. Or
Sir,
navigating to the VPC. Yes, please.
sir, can you please tell the little more slowly, sir? It is very fast to understand.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, fine. Okay, so now I'm about to create a second option VPC, launch VPC wizard. So already we have seen the first option VPC. Now I'm going to the second option VPC. VPC with the public subnet and private subnet with the NAT gateway. And make sure guys, this VPC will be chargeable. So once you're done with your practice session, please make sure you're deleting or killing all the services which you have created because you will be charged for the NAT gateway. This VPC will be chargeable. Once you're done with the practice session, please delete it. Don't forget it. So first, I will create this VPC automatically. So I'm just selecting the second option VPC. Click on select. So let the CIDR be same as it is. I doesn't want to change the CIDR. And what is the VPC name? Maybe auto second VPC. I can provide this name. So how the public subnet CIDR should be? In which availability zone the public subnet should be? What is the public subnet name? What is the private subnet CIDR? On which availability zone the private subnet should be created? What is the private subnet name? So for establishing a communication between public subnet and private subnet, I need a NAT gateway. NAT gateway is nothing but it is a kind of an interface to establish a communication between public and private. So without a NAT, the public and private will not communicate in a secured way. So what is NAT? How do I create it? NAT is nothing but one elastic IP. So where do we create the elastic IP? In the EC2 part, we'll be creating the elastic IP. So I'm navigating to the elastic IP section. I'll locate a new elastic IP address. I have been chosen a region under which region I want that IP address. Click on allocate. So this IP is going to be used as an interface between the public and private server. That's it. Apart from that, this IP is nowhere going to be used for application server or database server or a jump host or for public server or for private server. No. It is going to act as an interface or a bridge between the public and private. That's it. So if you want to add a service endpoint, you can add a service endpoint. DNS hostname is not required, and I can go with the hardware tenancy model is default. Once you click on create a VPC, all the dependencies will be created automatically. So no need to create one by one. So everything will be created automatically by AWS. So once this VPC is created, I will show you how to create the same VPC manually. So VPC has created successfully. So now when I go to the public subnet, I can see there are two subnet. So there are two subnet under the auto second VPC. So when I select this subnet and checking the route table to confirm whether it's a public subnet, yes it is. Because it has been assigned with the internet gateway, I can confirm it is a public subnet. When I check the private subnet, yes it is. It is a net gateway. Yes please. Hello. Yes, someone said something. So I can confirm that it is a private subnet and it belongs to the NAT gateway. So even though if it is has a public accessibility, if I don't have public IP of the machines which I'm creating under this subnet, I cannot take a remote control. So for enabling the public IP address for all the machines, whenever I'm just creating under this subnet, go to actions, click on modify auto assign IP settings, enable a public IP. Save. I have been saved it. For this subnet, even though if I'm enabling the public IP, I cannot access because it belongs to the NAT gateway And apart from the public subnet, he would never speak to anyone else. Even though I am the owner of this VPC, even though I am the owner of the machine which I am creating under the subnet, I cannot access it from my laptop because this private subnet will speak only to the public subnet. That's it. So even though if I'm enabling the public IP, there is no use. I cannot access it. So public IP, public accessibility is a different meaning. It doesn't have the same meaning. Now I have created this VPC automatically. If I want to create the same VPC manually, how do I do that? You can follow the same steps whatever you had did for first option VPC. Hope you remember about the manual VPC creation. So the same 5 steps will be executed, and addition to that, I'll be adding another 5 steps. So first, the step could be create a VPC. I'm just going to create the same VPC manually. It has created automatically. I'm just going to create the same second option VPC manually. This is what I'm going to do now. So click on create a VPC. So manual second VPC, and I'm using the same serial 10.0.0.0/16. It will be accepted because auto second VPC is a different network, manual second VPC is a different network. So IPv6 is not required. I can go with the default tenancy model. Click on create a VPC. I have created the VPC. Now I'm navigating to the internet gateway. So create an internet gateway. Manual second VPC IGW. I'm just using this name. I just created the internet gateway. So it is on the detached mode. Now attach that internet gateway to the VPC. Attach to VPC. I'm just selecting the manual second VPC. Attach an internet gateway. So these 3 steps has been done already for the first option VPC. There are left with the 2 more steps for the first option VPC. Going to the subnet, click on create a subnet. Choose the subnet under which VPC I want this subnet under manual second VPC. So you can choose any name. Manual second VPC public. I'm just using the public. And you can use any alt zone. And I can use the same CIDR of public subnet which has created automatically. So click on create a subnet. So subnet has been created. The manually subnet has been created. I am using the same CIDR. Why it is accepting this? It is running in a different network, he is running in a different network. So only it has accepted. Now I am going to the route table to find out whether it has a public access. No, I have only local access. So for editing some values in the route table, click on the route table ID. If you want to change the route table itself, click on this option. So I want to edit or add some values in the route table. So click on the route table ID. Go to routes, edit a route, add a route. I'm adding this ranges, all IP address. And I'm adding the internet gateway, manual second VPC, IGW. So these are the steps which has been done previously for the first option VPC. So the same steps is carried out for the second option VPC as well. But apart from these 5 steps, I need to do additional 5 steps for the second option VPC. If you leave as it is, this is the first option VPC. If you are doing additional 5 steps, that will be the second option VPC. So what is the sixth step? I need to create another subnet for this guy. So here I can see 2 subnets, but when I created manually, I can see only 1. So I need to create another subnet for a private. So how do I do that? Again, go to create a subnet, select the VPC as manual second VPC and manual second VPC private, under which alt zone you can choose any alt zone and provide the CD range 10.0.0.0. It will throw an error. The reason why it doesn't throw an error when I'm creating the public is there is no CIDR at all. So I'm using it for 0. But here why it is not accepting is already it has used for a public. So from 1 to 255 it will be accepted. Click on create a subnet. So I'm repeating that again. So the reason why it was not accepted now is already has this CIDR. Then why he is accepting when I already have this CIDR? As I said earlier, these two are different network. These two are different network. When the different network people, the private IP can be duplicated. Under the same network, the private IP can never be duplicated. So that's the reason why it was not accepted whenever I'm creating this private subnet. Okay. Now when I look upon the private subnet, go to the route table section, he is pointing to B39. When I'm checking the public subnet, he is also pointing to the B39. But when I look upon confirm with the one which I created automatically, it is pointing to internet gateway and the private is pointing to the NAT gateway. But when I created the same two subnets manually, both are pointing to the same route table. Now my requirement here is I want to make him as a private, but I can find only one route table. So what will be the next step? I'll be creating the next route table. Go to the route table section, create a route table. So manual second VPC RTB. RTB means route table. So for which VPC I need a route table? For manual second VPC I need the route table. Click on create a route table. So I have created the route table now. Once it is done, I'm just going to the subnet to ensure to confirm whether the route table is changed. No, it is still pointing to B39. I have just created a route table. I didn't allocate the route table to the subnet. So your 7th, 8th step could be you need to change the route table itself. So instead of this route table, is a public subnet belongs to a route table, public access route table. Please don't point to this guy. Click on action, change the route table ID itself, the one which I created manually. I have mapped the subnet to the route table which I created manually. Now when I check it, I can see the private subnet is pointing to. So the private subnet is pointing to the route table which I created manually, and the public subnet is pointing to the route table which is been comes by default with the internet. Any questions as of now? Is it clear? Okay,
No,
nice.
okay.
Okay, cool. So when I check this person which has created automatically, I can see this person. But when I check the same guy when I created manually, I don't have the NAT gateway. So what could be the next step? I need to create a NAT gateway. So before creating the NAT gateway, I need to create another Elastic API address. You may get a question. Already we have created the Elastic API address. Why do we need to create an Elastic API address again? Yes, that's right. But here I can find two networks. One is auto second VPC, another one is a manual second VPC. Only for auto second VPC we have created the Elastic API address for a NAT gateway. But for manual second VPC, I didn't create any Elastic API for a NAT gateway. So before I'm creating the NAT gateway, I need to create an Elastic API first. So click on allocate a Elastic API address and allocate. So once it is done, 146. Navigating to the NAT gateway section in the left hand side, click on create a NAT gateway. So manual second VPC NAT gateway. So for which subnet I need to create a NAT gateway? For a manual second VPC public subnet. I will explain the architecture in a 5 minutes. So it is done. Whether the private subnet machine should have an internet or it shouldn't have an internet. If you want internet, you can have it as a public. If you don't want the internet, you just want to take a remote control alone, you can use the private. Because any of the public and private will be communicating via intranet. The internet is not actually required. So for some use cases, for a secured databases, they will be disconnecting the internet on the private environments. So if you want to do so, you can use the private. Or else, whenever I'm creating a machines in the private subnet, I want the internet for the private subnet machines. You can use the public. When you are using the public, so the internet could be achieved using the NAT gateway. That means the Elastic API, 146 Elastic API. I'm using that Elastic API. Click on create a NAT gateway. I have done. So 9 steps has been done so far. So whenever I'm created the internet gateway, I have attached the internet gateway and I have added the values in the route table of the public subnet. Similarly, I have created the NAT gateway and I need to update the NAT gateway ID in the route table of the private subnet. So if you want to change the values in the route table, click on the route table ID, go to routes, edit a route, add a route, and instead of internet gateway, I am adding the NAT gateway guide. Manual second VPC NAT gateway. So that's like the fifth step which you have done for the first option VPC. After creating the public subnet, you will be attaching the internet gateway in the public subnet route table. Similarly, after I'm creating the NAT gateway, I need to attach the NAT gateway ID in the private subnet route table. Now, let me confirm with the public subnet which has created automatically, which is in the auto second VPC. I'm in the public subnet. I can see the internet gateway. Now, let me check the private subnet. It's also having a different route table. Is having the NAT gateway. So both belongs to the same VPC. So the same VPC I have created manually instead of automatic. I'm checking with the public. I can see internet gateway. I'm checking with the private. I can see the NAT gateway. So this is how you will be creating the VPC manually if you're about to do the second option. So again, I'm repeating, there is a charges for this VPC and there is a process to delete the VPC as well. So first you're supposed to delete the NAT gateway. So since already I have created the one, I'm just deleting this manually created NAT gateways. So I'm just click on delete. I'm deleting this one. So after the deletion of NAT gateway only, you are allowed to delete the VPC. So after this deletion, I will explain the architecture of the second VPC. Why I have created the NAT gateway in the public subnet. So it has been deleted. Now only you are allowed to delete the VPC. So no need to delete a public subnet separately, private subnet, route table separately, nothing like that. Only you need to delete the NAT gateway separately. After the deletion of the NAT gateway, you can straightly delete the VPC. And after deletion of this VPC, you can release the elastic IP address. So you need to do these three steps. If you have created a machine on this VPC, first you need to delete the instances and then NAT gateway and then VPC and then elastic IP. Then only the billing will be stopped. Okay. So now I will explain the architecture of the second option VPC now. So let me open the second option VPC in a notepad, sorry, in a paint. So this is the architecture of the second option VPC. So E is the public subnet and E is the private subnet. And I have attached the NAT gateway in the private subnet route table and I have attached the internet gateway in the public subnet route table. This has been done. Okay. Now you may get a question, why is residing here? The NAT gateway should be on the public private subnet track. Why is coming to public subnet? So to explain this, I will go in this way. Consider in case if I'm using this NAT gateway over here in the private subnet, I cannot establish a pairing connection between these two guys. Sorry, not the pairing connection. I cannot establish a connection between these two guys because the private subnet route pointing to the NAT gateway ID. The NAT gateway will be getting the internet only if it is in the public subnet. If it is in the private subnet, it's completely with the internet, no internet connection at all. Then there is no communication between public and private. So that is the reason we are creating the NAT gateway in the public. If I'm creating in the private is completely without internet connection. Until and unless if I'm creating the NAT in the public. If I'm creating the NAT in the private, it is completely out of network. It is kind of out of network. It is under the same VPC, but it is a kind of the scenario I'm saying. It will be out of network. I cannot establish a communication. I cannot take a remote control. Even though after I'm getting into the public machine, I cannot access the database machine. It is out of control. So that is the reason I am creating the NAT gateway in the public. So I'm creating the NAT gateway in the public. How it has been accessing? What is the scenario? So consider I am the user here, which is out of the VPC I'm residing. First, I will be taking the remote control of this public machine. How can I take the remote control of the public machine? How it has been allowed? Because I have added the internet gateway and I have been attached the internet gateway to the VPC. So using the internet gateway only, I can get the public accessibility. So that is the reason I allowed to take a remote control of a public subnet environments from my laptop, from the different network. Because the internet gateway is attached to VPC and that internet gateway ID is mapped to the route table of the public subnet. So I am allowed to take it. Okay. I have taken a public machine. From there, how it is allowed to take a database machine. From the internet, it will be sending the internet to the NAT gateway. So now the NAT gateway getting the network. Internet is been getting it. That NAT gateway ID has been mapped to the route table of the private subnet. So I'll be ensuring whether the route table, the NAT gateway ID is mapped. Yes, it is mapped. Then the trusted connection will be allowed via the internet gateway, via the NAT gateway. And from here, I'm just taking the remote control of this car. So this is the scenario. If I'm using the NAT gateway in the private subnet, I don't find internet gateway ID in the private subnet. I don't find any communication between public and private subnet. In case if I'm creating the NAT in the private subnet. That is the reason the NAT gateway does require the internet. So using that elastic IP, the internet is being transferred. If I'm creating the NAT in the private, I doesn't get the internet. So no chance of communicating. So initially from my laptop, I'm taking the remote control of the public machine. The reason for taking the public machine as a remote is it has been attached with the internet gateway and the public subnet route table has been added with the internet gateway ID. So from the internet gateway will be communicated to the NAT gateway. That NAT gateway ID has been mapped under the route table of the private. So I can confirm that the private has a connection with the public now. So from here I'll be taking the remote control of this machine. Clear? This is an architecture. Any questions? Okay, good.
No, no, sir.
Okay, okay. So similarly, I will open the architecture of the fourth option EPC. So it doesn't have any internet. No. It's simple. So this is my office network. This is my office network, and this is my AWS network. I am establishing this VPN connection between these two guys. So whenever I want to access this guys or I want to access this application, that can be done only if I'm in this network or else if I'm connecting to this VPN. Okay. So now I'll be creating a two machines in a one machine in a public and another machine in a private. So I'll be creating a Windows machine in a public on the auto second VPC. Launching instance. I can go with a free tier, maybe which OS. Maybe I can go with the 2012 R2. So what's the configuration does it require? I'm going with a 1 core 1 GB of RAM. And instead of default VPC, I'm choosing auto second VPC. Under the auto second VPC, I'm choosing a public subnet. And click on next, add storage. 30 GB storage is far enough and I doesn't require the tags because if I'm creating some huge count of machines, the tag might be required. And in the security group, I can use the same security group Windows plus Linux. I can use the same security group when I'm creating the Linux. So 3389 port number is to take remote control of a Windows machine and click on add a rule and SSH. SSH is to take a remote control of the Linux machine and next one is the SMB Samba and its default port number is 445 and I am using the Apache HTTP and its default port number is 80. So while I'm creating the Linux machine, I can use the same security review and launch an instance. So I already own a keeper called Windows key. Click on that launch an instance. So it will be a public server. Now under the same VPC, instead of a public subnet, I'll be creating in a private subnet. I'm just going to create a Linux machine. So launch an instance, free tier only. So maybe I can go with Ubuntu 18.4.